New Zealand, Aotearoa. When people first hear the name, images come to mind. Dramatic mountains, pristine beaches, lush forests, a lifestyle that feels freer, slower, and somehow kinder than the world many came from. It's the kind of place you dream about. For many migrants and visitors, that dream doesn't start as a cautious thought. It begins with hope. Hope fueled by tourism campaigns and stories from friends who came here and fell in love with the landscape. Some arrive picturing low stress, affordable living, and endless weekend hikes. Others imagine a chance to finally breathe after years in crowded, expensive cities overseas. And for a little while, that image feels real. Birdsong, green hills, water everywhere. It's breathtaking. But then life begins. The first shock. Rent isn't what you imagined. It usually starts with housing, because if you don't have a stable place to live, nothing else matters. People expect rent to be high in an attractive country. But what catches many off guard isn't just the figure. It's how much of your income it gobbles up. In Auckland, a one-bedroom apartment in the city centre typically rents for roughly $2,000 to $2,500 per month, and even outside the centre, it can sit around $1,600 to $2,000. In Wellington, similar spaces cost over $1,800 per month. Christchurch, while comparatively cheaper, still often sees rents around $1,400 per month in the city. Smaller towns can be less, but everywhere demand keeps prices elevated. Yes, you can find cheaper spots, but you're competing with dozens of others for them, and in high-demand neighbourhoods, that competition can drive prices higher than advertised. Then there's the upfront hit, a bond of up to 4 weeks' rent in advance, moving costs, and furnishing a place that's often unfurnished anyway. What looks manageable on paper can suddenly require thousands of dollars before you even unpack a box. Living costs add up, bit by bit, day by day. Rent is the headline. Utilities and daily living are the quiet drain that follows you every month. Imagine this pattern. Electricity, water, internet, and phone often add another $200 to $300 per month. Internet alone can run $60 to $120 per month. Groceries for a single person sit in the $400 to $600 per month bracket, families much higher. Then consider transportation. In big cities like Auckland or Wellington, monthly public transport passes cost $150 to $215. Petrol prices fluctuate, but are usually around $2.30 to $2.80 per litre. Many people have to own a car, because public transport only gets you so far. When you add childcare, healthcare, insurance, phone plans, and everyday expenses like clothing, medication, and personal care, the total monthly budget for a single person living in a city often lands around $3,000 to $4,250. For couples or families, it's easily $5,000 to $7,600 plus per month to live without cutting every corner. Food, the everyday surprise. You might assume that because New Zealand produces food, groceries should be affordable. That isn't always how it works out. Basic staples are priced like in other Western countries. A loaf of bread sits around $2.50 to $3, a litre of milk around $2.50, and chicken around $12 to $15 per kilogram. Dining out adds another layer of cost. A casual meal might be $20 to $35, a mid-range dinner $40 to $80 per person. And when food prices rise, it doesn't just make groceries more expensive, it thins the margin between comfortable living and financial stress. Over recent years, certain food costs have risen significantly, sometimes years ahead of wage increases. So people face a paradox, a country known for farming and fresh produce that still struggles with grocery prices that stretch budgets tight. Healthcare and insurance. Free isn't free. One of the myths newcomers encounter quickly is the idea that healthcare in New Zealand is entirely free. The truth is more complicated. Basic emergency care in public hospitals is subsidised, but GP visits often cost money, typically around $50 to $80 or more per consultation, and waiting times for specialists can be long. Many people choose private health insurance to avoid delays for non-urgent care, which comes with its own monthly premium. Dental care for adults is also largely not covered by the public system, meaning you pay direct, sometimes hundreds to thousands for treatments outside preventative checks. Add car insurance, home or contents insurance, and health insurance, and it becomes clear why experts suggest budgeting for these necessities rather than assuming coverage will always be free. Childcare and education, a hidden gigantic expense. Families quickly learn that raising kids isn't simply about love and education, it's a decision with cost consequences. Childcare can run several $100s per week for each child, depending on age and location. Even though public schooling is free, associated costs like uniforms, activity fees, stationery, devices, and sports can add up fast. For parents trying to balance work and family life, these costs are real and often constant, rather than the one-off fees some expect. Transport, the daily price of movement. This part of life hits you every day. If your job isn't walkable, you're paying for petrol or ride shares. Ferries, buses, and trains help in big cities, but many suburbs and regions lack frequent service, making cars essential. Fuel prices are among the highest in the OECD, and insurance, maintenance, and parking become part of every commute. For people living outside city centres, chasing cheaper rent, transport often becomes one of the biggest ongoing costs. The affordability gain from cheaper housing sometimes vanishes when fuel and time behind the wheel are added in. Wages versus reality, working hard isn't enough. Wages in New Zealand have risen in recent years, but not at the pace of living costs. A median weekly income before tax is around 1,380 New Zealand dollars, but median doesn't mean universal, and after tax, take-home pay shrinks while essentials continue to increase. That means many middle-income earners, including teachers, nurses, and public service workers, find themselves stretched. Add inflation, housing, childcare, groceries and utilities, and even secure jobs don't always translate to financial breathing room. Over time, this mismatch between earnings and costs leads to delayed life milestones, home ownership, starting a family, even deciding where to live. The emotional toll. It isn't just money. This is where the story gets human. People don't just struggle with numbers, they wrestle with stress, uncertainty, and shrinking choices. Community events become rare because outings cost money. Friends talk about skipping meals to save on groceries. Families delay children or move to smaller towns because cities feel impossible. The psychological stress isn't obvious on a budget sheet, but it shows up in daily decisions: what to buy, what to cancel, what to postpone. Even some New Zealanders who grew up here are leaving in record numbers, chasing affordability overseas, not because they want to disappear from Aotearoa, but because they feel forced by rising costs. Still hopeful? Here's why people don't leave the dream behind. Despite all this, people stay, and movement isn't always outward. Many choose to stay because of the land, community spirit, work opportunities, and the simple joy of living close to nature. There are solutions being pursued, policies aimed at increasing housing supply, grants and support for home insulation and energy efficiency, incentives for affordable social and community-focused housing. For individuals, small strategies help too: budgeting tools, switching providers, prioritizing savings, sharing housing, moving to regional areas, or investing in energy-saving home upgrades. Each of these won't fix the cost of living crisis overnight, but they can make it less crushing. The dream survives, but not by ignoring reality. It survives when we understand it.